been there Friday because I was the guinea pig for Board of Works, but yeah, I think it's probably best to meet like this and for a few more weeks anyway.
Yeah.
We're not on. We're not up and live.
It's 4 o'clock now, so we have everybody on, so you guys can start the meeting whenever you're ready. Yes.
Okay, is everybody here that's going to be here that said they would be here?
I would just do a roll call just so Kim can put everybody down that's present.
Okay, yeah, let me get that out so I can keep track of that as we go. Okay, let's call the roll. Rick Snodgrass.
Here.
George Clemens.
I'm on.
Okay. Mr. Gross.
Present.
Who else is on? See, Jeremy Mullins.
Present.
Mike Fonderas, present.
Mike, thank you. Did I miss anybody? Besides myself, I'm present. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and call this meeting to order? Yeah, to look at make sure we go through the agenda. If everybody would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We don't have a flag to put up on the screen, but we'll go ahead with that. Jeremy, we'll look at Jeremy's screen there. He's got the flag there. So.
There you go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we'll begin with the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. You should have all received a copy of that in your board pack. Were there any changes or corrections to those minutes that anybody noticed? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So, Jeff,
Sorry, who was that, please?
Jeff Gross. So
Jeff,
moved.
thank you. Jeff made a motion. So here's a second.
Second.
Mike? Okay. I'll do a roll call vote for that. For the motion to approve the minutes as read. Rick?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, and it is approved unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the approval of claims, and I'll turn it over to Jeremy for that reading of the claims and explanation of thereof.
Yeah, there's a few bond payments on here. So we have A&Z Engineering, $19,402.05 for the ongoing engineering for 300 North, which would be Phase 3. Wessler, $32,792.62 is for the Airport Industrial Park. Wessler, $700. I believe it's also for ongoing engineering services for the Industrial Park Sewer. and the Tech Park lift stations, the $700. Huntington Bank, $82,000 is the bond. I think it's the Wynonna PVD bond. Huntington Bank, $25,812.50 is another Wynonna PVD bond. The Huntington Bank, $51,900 is. Bond number 2, Wynonna PVD bond number 2. $180,500 is the Airport Industrial Park bond. $142,095 is Wynonna PVD bond 1, and then the 2012 bond, Warsaw Commons, $60,468.76. HRP, so this is our first payment. Up until this point in time, all the payments have been going for the Airport Industrial Park sewer project's been going through the bond account. So this first invoice is the cash amount that was contributed as part of that overall project. So our first payment is in the amount of $422,892.76. There's one claim that was added on, and then there's another claim I'd like to add that I'll go over here in a second. Barnes and Thornburg, $12,943.50 is for the ongoing legal services in the Nextremity deal from earlier in the resolutions for both the Redevelopment Commission and the Council. The other claim I'd like to add is our annual dues for the Redevelopment Association of Indiana. Every year we pay this. I just got it in the mail as I was sitting here. So I'll give you the opportunity to prove that as well. This just gives us access, all of the board members and myself, access to the RAI libraries and emails. We can ask them questions. They can email information to us. They keep us up to date on the legislation at the state, and it's a yearly $125 membership.
All right. Okay. Are there any questions or concerns about that? One item I'll point out that in at least the board pack that I got had the claims voucher for HRP construction had no dollars.
Yeah, I was
on it.
Yeah, so I was waiting for. I was trying to get the final dollar amount from them because it was making interest. So the reality is there'll be a few dollars in there that we'll have to deal with, but it can be rolled to the sinking fund. So I'm just going to file the claim on the dollar amount that they last gave me, which was that was in the memo. I think it was 7,000. I don't know if I have it in front of me, but it.
Yes. Yeah, it was one of the notes in that you sent out with this. It was actually addressed to the authority.
Yes. So at the time that I filed, we filled this claim out, was $7,632.68. So that is the amount that will be sent to them for payment, and then $422,892.76 is what our claim will have on it. There will be some additional money in there, but that can be rolled into the final payment, the reserve account.
Okay. So we should just ignore this particular voucher?
No, the voucher is right. This is what we will be submitting. The claim, our claim dollar amount will be filled in with that 422,000. That's what we'll be paying. Okay.
The voucher I'm looking at, accounts payable voucher for 5/1/20 to 5/31/20 for May, basically, has no dollar amount at all on it. So that will be the $7,000.
No, that will be, so our claim, the voucher that you're going to sign, will have $422,892.76, which is what's on your claims list.
That's what's on the claim summary.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And the documentation that's attached.
Yes.
there just wasn't a claim form for that particular amount.
I was trying to, I guess I was being a little too picky. I was trying to get down to the last penny because I didn't want money sitting there. But that turned out to be a bigger pain than just rolling it into the sinking fund. So it's just going to roll over to the reserve account, and it'll get paid out when we make the final bond payment 20 years from now. And it's like it's going to be like $30. I mean, it's not a huge amount.
That was my next question. So it's minimal amount. It's a minor amount. We'll just roll it into a, like you said, the sinking fund at the very end to make it right.
Yes.
Okay. So, but we will be paying the $7,632.68. It's mentioned in the memo.
Yeah, that'll get paid out of the bond funds, and then the remainder will be paid out of the Northern TIF funds.
Okay.
Jeremy, is that cash on hand?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we put, so there's roughly 4.8 million in bond issuance that went towards the project, and then we put around 1.3 million in cash into the project.
Okay, are there any
Out of
other?
that 1 point. Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
And out of that 1.3, we're paying 422
Yes.
at this time.
Yes, this would be the first payment out of the cash portion that we put into this project.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other questions about this list of claims? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Rick
Anybody?
Snodgrass, I move we approve as presented.
Okay, Rick makes a motion to approve claims as presented. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that, George Clemens.
George Clemens makes a motion to second. Okay, we'll call vote on this, on claims, for the motion to approve the claims as presented. Rick Snodgrass,
Yes,
George Clemens,
Yes.
Jeff Gross. Yes. And Mike Conders.
Yes, approved.
And, okay, no one objected, and so claims are approved unanimously as presented. Thank you very much. That's more than we normally see at one time, so just a few extra questions there. Okay, move along. Does that take care of all the, we have a transfer. Jeff, Jeremy, you want to talk about that? The
Yes.
reason for that?
Yeah, so tonight, the council will approve this transfer, and I'm asking your approval to transfer money from two different redevelopment accounts. Redevelopment allocation, the first request is to transfer $5,500 into debt service, and this is to pay for the Buffalo Street bond within that district. The bond repayment sheet is different from what the bond schedule repayment is, and I did not have the bond payment schedule, so there is a gap in there, and I'll end up having to do this next year too. But going forward, we'll have that bond schedule that came from the actual bondholder. So that's the reason for that requested transfer. Northern TIF requesting to transfer from 444, which is improvements other than building, to professional services, $200,000. It's just for ongoing engineering services for our 300 North project.
Okay. My only question, Jeremy, was were these taken into account in the budgets that were presented recently?
No, because the bond, that's what, so there's two, so the bond repayment schedules, typically when I get the bond book, the repayment schedules in there are the schedules we go off of. And so that's what I include in your packets. For whatever reason, with the last two bonds that we've done, those repayment schedules have changed from what was in the bond book. I do have those copies of those schedules now, so the next time I do it, I'll have the right dollar amounts for the bonds, but I did not have them for this year or for next year.
This is just for this year then?
Yes, I'll have to do it again next year.
Well, you'll have the corrected numbers next year for the budgets.
I'll have the corrected numbers for 2022's budget, since we already did 2021. I'll have to move some money next year, but it's not a lot of money, but it's a little bit annoying. I would have rather have had the right repayment schedules, quite frankly, but I didn't.
It's always annoying when you don't have the exact amounts.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Jeremy on this, on the transfers? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Excuse me, I'll call for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's Mike.
Yes, Mike.
Thank you. And do I hear a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Can you identify yourself? Who made the second? I'm sorry.
I thought Rick started saying, I think I said it, George Clemens said that I would second it, I thought somebody else did, so I was trying to be.
That's fine. We just wanted to get somebody's name on for the record. Okay, we'll call a roll call vote for the transfers as presented. Rick Snodgrass,
Yes.
George Clemens,
Yes.
Jeff Gross,
Yeah.
Mike Londaris.
Yes, approved.
Okay. Okay, so the transfers are approved and as presented. Move those on to City Council. Okay? And the Gatke Corporation, did anybody, just curious, anybody read that document?
I did.
Did you? Every page of that?
Part of it.
Wow. I started to, but that's worse than an audit report.
I was privy to that years ago because of the adjacent company.
So, Jeremy, you want to explain what we have here?
Yeah, so about a year and a half ago, IDEM approached me about updating the environmental studies on the Gatke property, mainly for this new, it's like Vokes and S-Vokes, which don't even ask me what that means, but so it's organic compounds that they're starting to look for, that there's no federal guidelines on it, but yet they're trying to figure out what the future of these semi-volatile organic compounds, what the regulations are going to be. So they had requested of us to allow us to do the phase 1 and phase 2 on Gatke, which we gave them permission to. Out of all of that came this revised comfort letter that we need to record. So what you would be approving is approving the revised comfort letter to be recorded and then sent into IDEM. There's not a whole lot that's been changed, other than there are some vapor barrier requirements. But one of the things is, in the past, we weren't allowed residential development I believe that's been removed, but what's been added is this vapor barrier requirement for the use of the property. The groundwater contaminants continue, so that's not changed. And like I said, most of this is coming from off-site contamination and the impacts of that contamination, whether it be vapor or use of the water table. So I am requesting that we approve this so that we can get it signed, and Scott, our attorney, Scott Royce, has went over everything. He's filled it in, and we'll sign it, and then he'll take it and get it recorded.
Then this covers the entire 3.3 acre site, correct?
That's correct.
And all the buildings that are on there currently.
Yes.
Are there any questions about this document?
So does this vapor barrier have to be put down by us, or if somebody comes in there to develop the property?
If someone were to come in to develop the property.
Okay?
I noticed there were 14 areas identified within this property that I did not see a area 51, so I felt better about that. Any other questions?
We've used this comfort letter since 2001 as potential suitors for that property have come and gone, and it was a pretty basic comfort letter that, as we mentioned, doesn't allow any residential use, doesn't allow to utilize the groundwater. It just pretty much sets what IDEM's trying to allow us to develop the property. They're doing it with some environmental restrictions and making them publicly known. That's what the comfort letter is. And it also absolves the city of those environmental liabilities because they were before we acquired the property. And in this most recent comfort letter, this document, it talks about contaminants that are coming down the hill, if you will, from the adjacent company that are impacting these readings that they found in 2018 and 2019. So again, they're saying, we want you to go ahead and we want that property, you want to be able to develop it, but if you do, this is what you can't use it for, and then these are the things that developers will have to do, before they put up, and a lot of it has to do with coming in and removing some of the contaminated soil. It's very detailed. I didn't have anything better to do, so I read through a lot of it, and it's an update from something we've been using. It gives us no liability. It just sets the expectation for who can use it, what they can use it for, and what they have to do to be able to develop it. It's pretty comprehensive, and it really sets the expectation. It gives a lot of good information so that usually these developers will come in, and as long as they know what their restrictions are, they can work around them, and that's what this letter does. So in going through it, again, it's just like Jeremy said, it's an update, and it's just the 2020. It's a new comfort letter 20 years later with some updates to it.
Were most of the contaminants related to the asbestos problem that they had there?
Not really. A lot of that was mitigated.
Yeah, so
all
all of that was mitigated when we had the grants that we paid off, almost like 10 years ago now. So all of those contaminants were removed from the property. This is mainly subsurface issues.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's a lot of organic solvents that are carcinogenic and problematic in that area, if you will, that exceed certain levels. And again, as long as they're either going and scooping them out, or you put a vapor barrier down. And Jeremy, isn't that usually dirt? You just have to put more soil on top of it, or
Yeah.
I don't know if that involves, but
I think it basically is going to involve environmental engineer is going to have to design whatever vapor intrusion barrier that is required and approved by IDEM for use in any building. That it may be dirt, it may be a different type of system. And at the same time, it does give an out that anybody that's wanted to develop this property can do a study, and if it proves otherwise, then they could also avoid that. So it just kind of, but as of now, it's setting out that this is the standard. This is what they're going to have to do. You either put in the system that's approved by them and or prove otherwise.
Okay. Good. Are there any other questions regarding it?
Is a vapor barrier just a barrier between a building and the ground if somebody were to build a building there? Is that all that's required?
Yeah, so the monitoring that's been going on is to make sure that these volatile chemicals are not infiltrating through the ground up into the air and creating contaminants within a building that's being trapped, air within the building. So
Okay.
that's part of the whole remediation of the company that was responsible for the contamination. And that remediation is ongoing, and those monitorings are ongoing. So basically what they're saying is if you build a new building, you're going to have to keep those chemicals from leaching from the ground up into the air.
Of the building.
Into the building, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve, or do we need to approve this from our standpoint?
Yeah, just approve it, so, because Tim, you have to sign it, and then I have to have Scott go and record it, so.
If I gotta sign it, we're gonna approve it.
There you go.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Rick Snodgrass, I move for approval as
I'll
presented.
second.
That was Mike that seconded. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the IDM letter as presented. Roll call vote. Rick Snodgrass. George Clemens.
Yes.
Jeff Gross.
Yes.
And Mike Londeris.
Yes.
Okay. Hearing no objections, we'll record this approval unanimously approved for the group. Okay. Were there any other items come before this group tonight? One thing I would ask Jeremy just real quick if you've had any updates on the Winona PVD situation.
I haven't had any updates since the last time we spoke. I know they're still talking to a number of companies. Hopefully, something will happen and it'll get brought back to life, so to speak.
Okay. We'll stand by. Mr. Mayor, do you have any other comments you'd like to?
Well, I hate to go back to this 58-page document, but what I gleaned from this is that what part of the action you just took was to terminate the original environmental restrictive covenant. That is the one from 2000. And then this document is now what becomes the environmental restrictive covenant. So
this document supersedes the other.
Yeah, and part of what you will be signing is the termination of this original environmental restrictive covenant. So again, they just took the old covenant, they went through, they did all the new studies, found more things, changed the environmental restrictive covenant. What you guys just voted on terminates the original restrictive covenant and then approves this one all in this document. It's down towards the end. I think the last 4 pages of the document. There's all kinds of attachments to it, but it's a pretty simple document that talks about that. So I don't want to beat that to death, but that's what happened. What you guys did was terminated that original agreement, ERC. So, like I said, I got time to sit here and look at this stuff in the last few days, so but it's all good. And again, it's just more updated information. Or, like I say, expectation of what will need to be done if somebody comes in to do the development on it.
Yeah, that makes more sense because, you know, if you have other documents floating out there previous to this, you have to legally terminate one before you can put this one into effect, I guess.
Well, being a restrictive covenant, it is recorded at the courthouse as is attached to that deed. And that old ERC is on there now, and this new one needs to go on. And I think that's what this is all about.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you
Now all
for
we need
clarifying.
is the developer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good explanation because restrictive covenants are, as we know, pretty hard to get out of when they're signed. So that makes sense, and hopefully that'll help take us one step closer in case we get a potential suitor for that property.
So, Jeremy, you put in the dates I see are left blank. Will the dates become effective with this meeting date?
Yes, so you will be approved on the 6th, recorded on the 7th. And
Okay.
that you'll sign it tomorrow, and then Scott will take it to the courthouse and file all the paperwork.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Jeremy, do you have anything else you wanted to add
I do not.
tonight? Okay. I do not either. So you answered the question about Winona PVD. So we'll look forward to news coming out on that at a later date. Okay. I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, George Clemens.
George, you have a second?
Second by Mike.
Okay, we'll do a voice. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight. We appreciate it very much, and appreciate all the efforts that go into this.
I would
Everyone,
Good to hear all.
I would assume that we'll also be doing this again in August at this point. So
okay.
I wouldn't assume that we're meeting in person.
All right.
All right.
We'll go with that, and wish you well, Mr. Mayor.
Right, Paul, appreciate it. I'm doing fine. I hopefully soon will be more safe to be around than anybody.
Yeah. How's Jill?